We're going to check out a perfect offseason plan for the Broncos in just a moment. But I was looking at the YouTube analytics, and last January, we picked up 676 subscribers. This January, 222. So a long ways to go, but help us beat last year's record of 676 subscribers. Welcome into the Broncos 2023 perfect offseason plan. I have laid out a 5-step plan for Denver to kill this offseason within reason. Like, obviously, I would love for the Broncos to move up to the first overall pick and only cost them a 7th rounder. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to keep it within reason. The Broncos do have a lot of things to do, and they don't have a lot of resources to do it, right? They are currently in the red for 2024 cap space, which means they are going to have to either cut some guys or move some guys in order to get back in the green. They don't have a ton of draft ammunition. They have a first and a third for the first 2 days of the draft, and they have to find a way to replace guys like Josey Jewell and Mike Purcell and K'Wan Williams, Fabian Moreau, Adam Trautman, Will Lutz. A lot of those players were starters last season. So with that being said, let's get to step 1 of my perfect offseason plan, which is draft Jayden Daniels. I said it was perfect, kind of a dream, and this one's not too far of a reach. But when we look at the updated or the current 2024 NFL draft order, the Denver Broncos at pick number 12 are on the outside looking into the top 10, and there are a lot of QB-needy teams in the top 10, right? The Bears, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Falcons, they jump out as clear and obvious QB-needy teams. But the Chicago Bears are an interesting spot because they've got Justin Fields and they also have the first overall pick. So what would be the most beneficial outcome to the Denver Broncos? It would be if the Bears traded Justin Fields to the Atlanta Falcons. Now that takes the Falcons out of the QB-needy group of the top 10. And the Bears go take Caleb Williams. Drake May goes number 2 overall. Marvin Harrison goes number 3 overall. And in this dream scenario, no one else needs a quarterback in the top 10. So the Broncos pick up the phone and call Atlanta and say, you don't need a quarterback anymore. What are you still doing at pick number 8? Let's make a trade, right? And Denver and Atlanta swap first-round picks. So the Broncos go from 8th overall, from 12th overall up to 8th overall in exchange for Jerry Jeudy. Denver does not have the draft ammunition to give to go from 12 to 8 without really gutting the farm system. They're already short draft picks. So in exchange, they move on from Jerry Jeudy, who after 4 years has not really given us a whole lot of reason to believe that he can really blossom into a clear-cut wide receiver 1. And in exchange for giving up Jeudy, the Broncos also get a day 3 pick back. And then finally, Denver's got their QB of the future, Jayden Daniels, the 2023 Heisman winner who just lit it up in Baton Rouge this season. 50 total touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He is nothing that Broncos Country has really seen since John Elway in terms of having the ability to run the football and pass at the same time. Now, yes, this does come at a bit – Coop just whispered in my ear, Tim Tebow. Not really a very good passer, but we'll always have that Demaryius Thomas touchdown. But yes, this does come at a price. Jerry Jeudy would be involved in this trade, and I understand that I'm not – at the forefront of let's trade Jerry Jeudy no matter what. I do think Jeudy has potential to be a good receiver in the NFL. I do think he was probably picked a tad too early at 15th overall after 4 seasons, and seeing what some of the guys that were picked after him have done so far, I just don't believe Jeudy and Russell Wilson are a good fit. 2 years into Jeudy and Wilson's marriage, they've had plenty of games together, and they have not produced a whole lot of continuity, right? Jerry Jeudy scored 2 touchdowns this year, one of which was with Jarrett Stidham. And then last season, he had a hat trick against the Chiefs towards the end of the year, and he had a really strong end to the year, but we did not see that carry over into the beginning of this season. Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson just do not mesh super well. If you go back to Russell Wilson's days in Seattle, I mean, this is not supposed to be a football IQ test, but what was Russell Wilson known for? That moon ball, right? That big, deep shot. Jerry Jeudy is a speedy, twitchy receiver that's going to beat you from the moment the ball is snapped. He's not designed to run it down the field and then go catch some of these moon balls, which Courtland Sutton is, and that's why one guy had 10 touchdowns and the other guy had 2 touchdowns this year. So moving on from Jerry Jeudy to help get the QB of the future, when let's be honest, Jeudy is just not really a fit so far. And even Russell Wilson's not the quarterback. I don't see Jerry Jeudy getting a second contract with the Broncos after his fifth-year option is done. So pick a quarterback for me, though, because I think we can all agree Caleb Williams and Drake May are number 1 and number 2. You can bicker about which order. But the next 3 guys, that is open to interpretation. I think Daniels is a clear-cut number 3, and then Penix, McCarthy, and Bo Nix kind of fight it out for the next few spots. But if you had to pick a quarterback, which one would it be? Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix, or J.J. McCarthy? Step 2 in my perfect offseason plan is sign DJ Reader, the Cincinnati Bengals defensive tackle. I know that interior defensive linemen tend not to be household names, but I'm a big fan of DJ Reader's play, and I think he would be instrumental in turning around the Broncos' run defense. Now, why DJ Reader, right? Why not go for Chris Jones? Well, when you're negative $24 million in the cap, you probably can't afford to sign Chris Jones. But DJ Reader, who is not very far behind from Chris Jones, keep in mind. I mean, very different types of defensive linemen, but still, he suffered a torn quad in Week 15, which you might think, why are we looking to sign an injured player? Well, that injury might actually reduce what his projected free agent contract could look like. And if he was healthy, the Broncos would have no chance of landing Reader. But because he is coming off an injury, a lot of other teams might be turned off because of that, and the Broncos could swoop in and get one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles for much cheaper than what he should go for. I mean, this past season, he did not get to play the full year, went down right 2/3 of the way into the season, but he had 34 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 22 stops. Stops is a metric that Pro Football Focus uses to determine when a defensive player brings an offensive play to a stop that is resulting in a failure, right? You know when you see those 3rd and 1 and the defensive lineman makes a tackle and brings up 4th down? Well, that's not the same type of tackle as bringing a guy down after a 5-yard gain. So stops is a much more accurate way of representing when the tackles were made at key situations. But the important thing to look at here is the Broncos' defensive line, it needs help. Jonathan Harris and Mike Purcell are free agents, and I don't expect Denver to bring those guys back. But DJ Jones was supposed to be the tree stump in the middle of this defensive line. And he's not been awful, but he has not lived up to what the Broncos paid him in free agency. So bring Reader in to stop the run. Let Zach Allen get after the quarterback with the rest of the edge rushers, and that could help turn around the Broncos' defense, which doesn't need a dramatic turnaround, but I'm not going to forget the first couple of weeks of the season happened and act like that never took place, or that the Broncos' run defense was perfect aside from one bad game against Miami. No, it was bad all season long. They need a run-stopping DT, and DJ Reader is that guy. Now, before we get on to the rest of today's show, I do want to highlight our sponsor, which is Game Time. Thanks to Game Time, you can go to your favorite games without breaking the bank. So if you're trying to catch a Nuggets game, or maybe you want to see an Avs game, or if you want to go catch some NFL playoff football, just use Game Time. Because with Game Time, you can get last-minute seats for the lowest price guaranteed. And what my favorite part about Game Time is, you can see the view of your seat before you even purchase your ticket. That way you don't show up and realize you're way up in the nosebleeds, you're behind some big pole and you can't see anything. No, with Game Time, you got a perfect bird's eye view before you even click purchase. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code BroncosChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code BroncosChat for $20 off once you download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Third part of a perfect offseason plan is restructure Courtland Sutton's contract, a.k.a. get on your knees and beg that he will come back for less money, because I have major concerns about Courtland Sutton returning for what he is scheduled to be paid in 2024. His cap hit is $17.2 million. Now, if the Broncos were to move on from him before June 1st, well, they could save nearly $10 million in cap savings via release or a trade. And then you add in that Courtland Sutton basically, sort of, kind of, maybe not really, posted on Instagram a goodbye to Broncos Country. Let me read it out to you guys. This was from a few days ago. Broncos Country, I'm very grateful to be able to have finished off another season here in Denver. Unfortunately, we weren't able to accomplish our main goal. I'm still grateful for all my teammates and support, yada, yada, yada. I know all things happen for a reason, and I trust my God's plans over everything, including whatever is next for me. Just know I gave everything to this team and organization every time I stepped on the field. All love, number 14. That doesn't necessarily read as an absolute goodbye post, but it did open up some controversy online about whether or not Sutton was basically hinting at the Broncos aren't going to pay me for what I'm worth. And after scoring 10 touchdowns, I don't think he's inclined to take less money, but that's what makes this a perfect offseason plan, right? Because if there is an avenue for Denver and Courtland Sutton to get together and say, hey, let's guarantee some of your money, try and lower that cap hit, and both sides can be happy and stay together, that sounds like a dream plan for Denver, because whoever's at quarterback next season, they're going to need someone to throw to. And if they go get a rookie QB, the last thing I want to see is that rookie QB just completely sink because he's got no one to throw to, and we don't have any idea whether or not we have something in this rookie. Now, let me know if you want to see Courtland Sutton stay in Denver. Yes or no? I know I would love to see Courtland Sutton stay. Of course, it's at the right price, and $17 million is a lot. And for a team that's currently in the red, they are looking for guys to cut. And $17 million is a big bill you could get off your books. Fourth part of my perfect offseason plan, extend Patrick Surtain. Get it done. Sean, I know you're watching. Come a little closer. Get it done today. The longer you put this off, the more it is going to cost you. We see this every offseason with quarterbacks, right? Where there's a game of chicken between Burrow and Herbert and Lamar. And whoever gets paid first ends up getting the least amount of money compared to all the quarterbacks paid that offseason. So if you put this off and you let guys like Jalen Johnson or L'Jarius Sneed, who both had incredible seasons, get paid before Patrick Surtain, PS2 is going to walk into a meeting with Sean Payton, George Paton, and his agent, and he's going to say, Jalen Johnson just became the highest paid corner in the NFL. I'm better than Jalen Johnson. I would like to be paid more now. And the longer you put this off, the more rumors that will circulate regarding a potential trade. And I don't want to see Pat Surtain get traded. You don't want to see Pat Surtain get traded. So get it done now. When you look at the 10 highest paid cornerbacks, Jaire Alexander comes in at number 1, making an average of $21 million a season. Now, Pat Surtain, deservingly so, should get paid more. He should become the number 1 highest paid corner because he's the number 1 cornerback in the National Football League. So I put together a projected contract for what it could potentially look like. How about a 6-year deal, $140 million? That comes out to an average of 23.3, so $2 million and change more than currently number 1 Jaire Alexander, and guarantee $80 million of it. I love the idea of getting Pat Surtain locked up on a major long-term deal because he is a long-term piece. He is a guy that I think Denver would love to see play his entire career in Denver, 12, 13 seasons, and in year 12 or 13, he might be just as good as he was as in year 2 and 3. He's that special of a player. So get it done, because if you put it off, it's just going to cost you more. And what I don't want to see happen is what's going on in Minnesota right now, where they kept delaying it, and they go, let's play the season out. Let's play the rest of this year out. You know what happens? Well, now Justin Jefferson is at the center of a whole bunch of trade rumors and speculation. Fifth element of a perfect offseason plan for the Broncos. Keep Garett Bolles. This sounds a little strange coming from me because I know in previous videos back in last offseason, I was like, Garett Bolles is not a cornerstone left tackle. And I don't think he is a top 5 left tackle, top 10 left tackle. But if you are entering, maybe not a rebuild, but just a reshuffle of furniture on the offense, keeping good players at their spot is going to make life a lot easier for others, okay? Garett Bolles does have a $20 million cap hit for 2024, and so the same that goes for Courtland Sutton goes for Garett Bolles. Like, when you're in the red and some guys are making a lot of money, those are going to be the first ones to go usually. But he comes off one of his best seasons of his NFL career. PFF ranked him 19th out of 83 qualifying tackles. Now, the big question is Garett Bolles overpaid? Yeah. At the same time, who isn't? Like, that's kind of the deal of getting a second contract in the NFL. Is your second contract probably doesn't reflect the productivity of the years of those contracts, but it reflects what you did on your cheap rookie contract. So it all sort of balances out, right? You're underpaid in your first rookie contract, you're overpaid on your second contract, but in the end, it's somewhat of a wash here. But I don't want to see a rookie quarterback step into this offense with a brand new left tackle, a right tackle who is definitely overpaid in Mike McGlinchey and did not come near what he was paid to do last season, Ben Powers at left guard, who is Lloyd Cushenberry is likely gone from the way George Paton spoke about Alex Forsythe at the end of the year press conference, and that leaves one good offensive lineman in Quinn Miners. The last thing I want to see is a rookie QB step into this offense and just get pummeled, just get beaten to a pulp because Denver decided, hey, I know we just drafted Jayden Daniels, and maybe we should protect him, but we're actually going to move on from our left tackle, who just comes off one of his best seasons yet. Doesn't scream like a good idea to me. Now, what is the first step in your perfect offseason plan? I just unveiled my 5-step perfect offseason plan. I know Sean was taking notes, but let me know your first step in a perfect offseason plan. Some honorable mentions. I'm going off of what George Paton said at the end of the year press conference, which was they have high beliefs and high regard for Drew Sanders, Riley Moss, and Alex Forsythe, who are expected to replace Lloyd Cushenberry, Josey Jewell, and Fabian Moreau. So yes, I could have included signing a premier corner, but at the end of the day, I just don't think that's going to happen. Denver told us what their plan is, and that is they believe Riley Moss is a starter. Now, why wasn't he a starter when Damari Mathis was the worst cornerback in football is probably a little bit telling, but I think that is a more realistic output for what the 2024 Broncos will look like. Now, that's going to do it for us on today's show. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in, making time for us today. We will sign off and see you all later.